Hi, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. And so happy to have you join me for such an enormous topic around motherhood, which is how to become martyr free. This is a workshop called Martyrdom Free Motherhood. Learning to love without sacrifice. And this is something that absolutely came from my own personal experience as a mom. And you know, I had to face a whole lot of old stories I of course never knew were there. But they were, once I learned what they were and could kind of trace them back and look more closely, I could see threads of these going way back and into, thank you, Bea is saying she likes the highlights on my hair. I'm sorry, I'm distracted by comments. Thank you so much. I actually paid for these highlights. My hair used to look like this, but it doesn't anymore. I'm going to stay on track though. So, yes, so martyrdom is such a huge piece of, and self-sacrifice and what we think of as selflessness, which is a very tricky kind of sneaky thing that happens in the ego that leads us to think that it is service and love and generosity, and what actually happens is that we're activating old beliefs that keep us limited from realizing our full potential as moms to step fully into love, loving ourselves, loving our families. So I can't wait to dive into this and talk more about it today. I love seeing all my clients here. So glad you're joining me, all of you awakened motherhooders, and so excited to reach out to more women in the Consciously Created Motherhood group today. So I want to just start off with kind of what this feels like when we're experiencing it, when we're stuck in a place of overgiving or overextending. And you may not even think of it that way. You may just know, like, I feel exhausted. I feel like an empty shell by, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or I wake up empty and tired. So you probably feel tired. You probably feel tired of giving so much. You might be experiencing some physical signs of exhaustion or dis-ease in your body. You might be in chronic pain or have headaches or any of these things. And you find yourself telling a story like, if I just hang on, it'll get better, or my kids will one day be through this stage, or this is just, I hear this a lot, this is just a season of life. I know it's a season of life, so if I can just hang in there, I think I can make it through. And these are little fibs that we tell ourselves to kind of lull ourselves into submission to that old pattern, to kind of keep the status quo. It's harder to change because then we have to face the fear. We have to actually peel the layer back and look at what's underneath. We have to let that ripple effect flow into our lives fully, in our relationships. So it's not that it's a lot of work, but it is a shift in focus. So I'm going to talk about that today. Does your heart feel heavy? I wrote this in the intro to this workshop. Does your heart feel heavy when you, or you feel stuck in not knowing how to stop what you're doing, which is running yourself into the ground for the sake of others, or that's how it feels to you? Here we have a dog chorus joining us now that I had to let the fly out. If they keep up, I'll close the door. Your heart hurts because you don't actually want to wait and like let this go on as it is and sort of wait for your kids to be older, because you know what that means. It means that you're missing out on this juicy slice of this life stage that you're all in together, and your higher self knows that that is really painful and is trying to alert you to pay attention to this so that you can change something now before you miss out. You want to feel valued and connected in your partnership. You want that kind of equal exchange. You want to know you matter, and you want to be able to respect your partner too, instead of just kind of dumping on them or venting, or maybe even going into blame about why things are so hard for you, or why you're doing all the things and your partner's doing one job. You want to know that you're doing a great job. You want to know that you're doing a great job. You want to be able to see that reflected in your kids. You want to be able to hang around with other mothers or parents and actually feel like you're doing okay. Get that kind of reflection that your children are doing okay. But you want to also be able to enjoy it now. You want to be able to do it all and relax at the same time. And something inside tells you, like, there's no way you can have that. That's not possible. It's an either or. You can raise your kids right, whatever that means. You can, they can trust you and come back to you when they're older, but you have to give everything to get that. You know, you can sort of stay married and do all the things that you need to do to maintain a home and whatever, and a job and have an income, but you don't really get to enjoy it or relax into it. So these are parts of the limiting patterns and stories. And I just want to start with the problem. What the problem is not. The problem, if you're here, is not that you aren't doing enough or you're doing it all wrong. The problem isn't that your partner is insensitive or lazy or has expectations that are locked in the 1950s of what a happy, healthy home looks like, or happy, healthy partner. And the problem isn't that your kids' needs are too big, or that they require too much of you, or that they're extra special. They're harder than other kids. Those things may all be the case. That all of that may be true, and I've lived that. and some days I slip back into it. I used to think that those were the cause of why I was so tired. I used to think that those things were kind of the reason or the problem. And they may be happening, but they aren't the cause. They're never the cause. As long as we see them as the kind of the reason or the root cause for why we feel so depleted, we ensure our stuckness. We just we pin ourselves in. We guarantee that nothing will change. Do you get that? Nothing will change when we see that those things are our biggest problem. Okay? So what really is happening is that most of us have inherited from the generation before us some kind of belief or patterning that is deeply rooted in our bodies, in our nervous systems, in our subtle thoughts, in our subtle energy body. And it affects our thoughts, it affects our feelings, it affects how we act, our behaviors. It affects our perception and our perspective of our lives and our dreams. We stop dreaming when we adhere to these beliefs. It sounds something like, usually, if I don't do this, no one will. Or everyone will do it wrong anyway, so I might as well just do it myself. Well, I don't get to take care of me. I just get to take care of everyone else. Or it may sound to you like, my needs come last. What's the point of trying to change? Because my needs are always going to come last. Now, tell me right now if these are thoughts you've heard, you've felt inside you, you've heard other moms say, or what do yours sound like? If you have other ones, let's just put them out there now so that we can see what's really true and what's really not true. We're going to do this together. Let me know. Hi, Dana. Yes, you say. Yes. You've heard these before. You've felt them before. Anybody else want to comment? Every one of them. Okay. So we're right in that zone of being able to see and clearly see what it is that is getting in the way of us living that life of freedom. And the freedom and the love and all the things are right here. They're right here. They're not way out there. They're also here, but we're not tuning into them. We don't know how. There's too much junk in the channel. So, yeah, exactly. Sounds like my mom verbatim. Right. Sounds pretty familiar, doesn't it? Even if you've never heard yourself say those things. They are deeply embedded. It's like a record that just plays in the back of our minds and influences our reality. It also influences our partnerships and our partners and how they see us and feel about us and their expectations of us. Wow. All of that is created from these deeper layers. So, okay, here's another one. Everyone, hi Carrie, everything stretches me too thin. Great. Yeah, it's all too much. You're all just stretching me way too thin. You're using me up. You may be, there may be some other folks listening in or back to this that also feel they have the sign on their forehead that says, like, use me up. How can I serve? But you don't really, you don't mean to do that. You don't really want to even do that. It's just happening. It's an unconsciously repeating pattern. Okay, so when you try to step out of this pattern, something in you says, like, this isn't working. I'm tired. So when you try to step out of this pattern, what happens is, because part of you knows the truth, that you don't have to stay here. But you try without any new tools or holding or structure or guidance or support, and you get whacked with that fear and the judgment that is embedded in these beliefs in the generations back. So the energy of that will come rushing at you to say, no. You can't have it better. You can't change. You have to suffer just like I did. Doesn't matter whose voice it is, but you'll feel that. And you'll hear it in your own mind. You'll feel it in your body. You may feel it in your senses. You may feel depressed or more anxious. You may have you may have a panic attack. You also may manifest a big, fat, juicy argument with your partner who says, like, I work so hard, and what makes you think you can set this boundary or whatever. So partner shows you some resistance to you trying to change or have it any better. And I want to be so clear, these are not conscious, most of the times, these are not conscious things that our partners are saying to us or expressing. They don't want to stop you from feeling healthy and whole. They don't mean to get in our way, mostly. Mostly it's not conscious. Mostly it is just the same in them. It's the old unconscious pattern. This is how it's always been. This is the communication you've been giving me unconsciously for 20 years. So I don't want it to change because that feels uncomfortable. And I might have to do something differently. Or it might trigger and pull up all of my own unworthiness. And please don't make me look at that. I don't want to look at my own fear of not being worthy. It may sound on the outside like I don't want to have to do more. I don't want to have to work harder. But you know what's underneath that, if you're a client of mine, is just that fear of not enough. You're not worthy. And all of our partners have that same story playing, whether they're aware of it or not. So, yeah, so my mom makes comments all the time and says, well, I never got time away from kids. So why do you think you should? I'm guessing what the rest of that comment says. That kind of, you have to really justify it, and then it feels selfish. And the truth is, we don't have to justify anything to anybody. It just has to be aligned with us and our higher self and whatever spiritual path we're subscribing to. It doesn't have to be anyone else's truth. It's only our truth that we have to answer to. And we have to own it. And if we don't, then we're in pain. Then we stay in anxiety loops. Then we stay getting further depressed. We stay kind of without a voice. Can't ask for what I want. Feel oppressed in my relationship. Feel powerless. That's the result of not owning our truth. So, and we pass it to our kids. So, it's not a happy thing to talk about, but they pattern after us, just as we did after our parents. So when we do the work now, we just wipe the slate clean for them. They get to have their own truth. They get to live their own beautiful, loving life and their vision for themselves instead of having to try to heal ours and heal us. So I know this is really heavy stuff I'm talking about, but I also fully believe that we are responsible for our own healing, and that it's in our own perfect time that it comes, and that we know we're ready. But I'm what's fully in integrity for me and aligned for me is that you are your own healer, that you are meant to become the expert of you, and that the more you awaken to that idea, the more you can take steps deeper into aligned action for you, for your own healing. So if it's too much for you, it's okay. Let it go. If it feels good, then keep listening. Just honor where you are, and whatever you can receive, it's all good. So what happens when we're in these patterns I've been talking about is that it keeps us from stepping fully into love, into the truth of who we are, which is love at the core. Our true essence is our divine self, our raw energy of love. That's what's flowing and available for all of us. And we are either connecting to it and living in it, or we're separating from it. But it never changes. It's always here. And some of you call that God or source energy. Some of you call that divine love. Some of you call that your connection to the cosmos, your higher self. And when you're separated from it, you are not able to own your value and your purpose, so your worth, to know your worth. And it will keep you from claiming your worth inside of your relationship. It'll keep you from claiming your worth in parenting, to set great boundaries and not apologize for that. And it will keep you from being in ownership, taking ownership of your well-being. You'll let everything else get in the way. You'll let fear of not having enough get in the way. You'll let the price of support get in the way. You'll let the time that it's going to take to do the work get in the way. You will let a fear of not being able to put it into practice get in the way. So those are all just the pattern repeating itself, right? So until you take planned actions, guided action, inspired action, you can't change those old patterns. They will prevail. They will stay the same. So if you're in that zone, then you're probably, you think that you're waiting for something, or you are in hope. You're thinking of it as hope. I'm sitting in idle hope that something on the outside of me will change. But until we take new and different action, nothing around us, as well as inside of us, can change. Okay, we have to take new and different action. If we never take new and different action, we know what we're going to get. We're going to keep getting exactly what we've always gotten, right? So you have to take new and different action. Okay, so let's look at it another way. What does it mean to stay connected to love and to have that available to you in motherhood? Okay, so what does it mean to stay connected to love and have that available to you in motherhood? For example, what would get better right away, or what has gotten better for you right away if you've been working with me on this for a while? What have you noticed? Share with us your experience, or just what are you imagining would just get lighter, easier, flow more freely? What would be gone from you that you can't wait to be rid of? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Love is our connection with our divine self. It's ownership of the truth of who we are. It's living in our essence, and it's aligning with our hearts. So living in a really open-hearted way, which means learning to leave the fear, not living in fear. Yay, Jennifer says, anxiety is gone. I'm more calm. Just celebrating that so much with you. What a beautiful celebration. And joy, delight, presence, grace with yourself and your kids. Beautiful. Being easy on yourself and others. I wonder if I can see that. Big release, and like a big release and letting go of a deep breath. That's such a great description, Ange. It's like softness, gentleness, and presence all wrapped up into one. That's how the love feels. So what would you move past, Maeve? Losing the resentment and feeling stuck. Perfect. And Dana says, I think my connection with myself has helped me connect better with my son. Yes, that's so true. Who's so much like you emotionally. Yeah, those are the ones that are our biggest teachers. I hope to find I only need to love myself to be my best. Beautiful, Carrie. Yes. That is the truth. That is the highest truth. So And what I want to say about all of this is that it's a choice, that to be open to love and living in the flow of that, or to be in fear or disconnected from it, we either way we're choosing. Okay, either way, whether it's conscious or not, we're choosing, and it's good to know that so that we can actually have more choice in the matter. So why would we ever not step into love? Why would we ever choose to pass up an opportunity to learn more about how to support ourselves better, or be more loving with our kids, or heal our marriage? Why would we not do those things? We all know, we've all had examples in our lives, things we've passed up, or you heard a little voice inside, but you kind of ignored it or whatever. And I want to validate that. I want to, on one hand, I want to hold you accountable to your own intuitive guidance, if that's where it's coming from. But I also want to say that we do that because we're trying to protect ourselves. We block love. We keep out the help and support and love because of we're trying to defend ourselves. It's self-protection and it's self-defense, and it's there for a million reasons. It's all there for because of our early life experience, and maybe from before that. It's there for good reason. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't challenge it, though, that you shouldn't question it, and that you shouldn't ask, is this the voice of fear, or is this the voice of love, my intuitive voice? The amount of love in our lives right now is a reflection of how well we know, how it is a reflection of how much we know how to receive love, goodness, support, prosperity, trust, connection, all those things. It's about receiving. This is what most people don't know. So a reflection of how worthy we believe we are of feeling fulfilled, deeply satisfied, deeply taken care of, or healed is how able we are to take things in, or give ourselves the good stuff and give it to others too. But first, it's about ourselves. So let's look at where you are on the love scale. I'm going to kind of guide you through. So you may be really good at receiving the short end of the stick. Think about if this is you. You find that you receive a lot of these things in your life, whether you want them or not. Criticism, judgment, maybe from, think about the past too, bosses, managers, clients, parents, older siblings, now partners, other people, random people in your life, judgment, criticism, disrespect, or negativity. So if you find yourself attracting these things, then that is a clue. That is a clue for you. How comfortable are you with receiving loving gestures and kind words? Think about that one for a minute. How comfortable are you with receiving an unexpected gift from someone who cares about you? Or compliments. You know how you're kind of just moving through life and someone hands you a really beautiful compliment that you weren't expecting. How do you respond to that? How do you feel? Do you just go, oh, do you bat it away? Oh, no, oh, yuck. Or do you say, oh, thank you, and inside you're cringing because you just can't let it in. You can't let it in. Or someone points out one of your gifts to you and says, that is such a strength of yours. You're amazing at that. And you just freak out. You can't even believe that that you're hearing this and you have no idea what to do with it. It makes you you blush, you get uncomfortable, feel so embarrassed. Does that ever happen to you? How does it feel if someone offers you support? Someone offers you something you didn't ask for. And if you're able to let it in, it would feel really good. But you don't know how. You don't know how to let it in. Or compassion. And this is a big one for us mothers of young kids. Kids just loving us even when we don't deserve it. Loving us for any reason and no reason, just melting into us and showing us compassion. And often I find this is the one place that women can receive it. We can receive it from our children when they're really little. But then as they grow older and they look more like full-size humans, then it changes and fits the old pattern more. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how good, now that you've heard about this, how good are you at receiving? On a scale of 1 to 10, so 1 is I'm crap at receiving. I get so uncomfortable and awkward and, oh, no. You're so great. That'll be down at the bottom. 10 is at the top, meaning I can receive and be affirmed by others' positive words and gestures. I can let them in. They light me up. I can vibrate off of those. They feel really good. So let's see your numbers. Drop them below. This is a great comment here by Sarah. She says, if I believe a compliment, I also believe I'll be then humbled soon after with being criticized. So can't hold, if you let in the good, you're going to get knocked down, right? So it's not safe. It's not okay and safe to actually allow yourself that. Okay, we got some low numbers coming in. Ange is an 8-9. Awesome, Ange. Big celebration. So we've got 2s, 1s. We'll wait for a few more to come in. This is a really great self-assessment, and I'm glad that you all are getting this piece, because it will help you to see where you are in terms of your decision to open to receive more. And you also, it's good, this will increase your awareness. And there's also another part of this process, which is about knowing how to protect yourself so that it is safe to open to receive, so that you're not just opening up to everything, to all judgment, criticism, compliments, poverty, wealth. You don't want to do that. There's a piece I'm not going to be talking about today, which is part of the how, which is about living super intentionally. But for all of you who are my clients, you already know that piece and you have it. So I'm saying that for everyone else. So you want to be careful about knowing what you're tuning into, so that you are opening to receive the things you intend to receive, that you're wanting to take in. Okay. So I want to talk about a couple of the pitfalls. So a lot of the women who reach out to me, not a lot, a fraction of women who reach out to me display the same kind of patterns. And this is sort of a category or a group of people where I can feel what's going on for them. I want to bring it to the group in case this is you and you're a lurker. I love all you lurkers, because I know you're going to sign up for Awakened Motherhood and never have commented in the group before, like almost everyone else who signs up to work with me. But you can lurk away. I just encourage you and remind you that when you participate, when you take action, you get the benefit and the result of that. So commenting, liking, sharing, all that stuff, it does you good. So do that for you. So a lot of the women who reach out to me, they already know that I'm the right person to help them. They feel it, they believe it. They have received a lot of guidance and a lot of intuitive signs, and yet when it comes to taking a step to really commit, they get stuck in not knowing how to receive the support. And it may look like other things. You may even think of it as other things that keep you from doing what you want or having what you want, like, I'm just non-committal, or that money's earmarked for other things, or this is more important than me. And those are all parts of the old pattern. These are little offshoots of that nasty root system. And what I want to point out is that when you stay in that pattern, you continue the old pattern. And Also, if you in your early life were hurt, especially repeatedly, by somebody who's supposed to be loving you and protecting you and teaching you about what love is so that you could learn to trust and know the difference between who's safe and who's not. If you had someone in your life who just confused all of that for you, then you probably formed some very rigid boundaries. And this is a part of the self-defense, self-protection that I was talking about. And it makes perfect sense to me. I understand it, and I also see it hurting people because those rigid boundaries formed to keep out the stuff that was going to hurt you, and so that you could stay safe, because that's all you had available to you when you were a kid. And at the same time, those strict boundaries are now kind of keeping everything out. They're keeping out the love, the compassion, the tenderness. They're keeping out the support. They're keeping out maybe some of the dangers as well. But you're not comfortable. You're not happy. You're anxious. You're stressed. You're overwhelmed. And so this is your sign. This is your guidance that it's time for those rigid boundaries to be moved, to be remade into something that really is protective in the best kind of way. Protective and open to receiving the goodness and the love. And so all that is here for you if you're listening. If you know this is you I'm talking about. So ways that we keep out or resist love when we have boundaries like this are to criticize and belittle our partners, our spouse. Do you ever notice? Is that a trap that you fall into? So to criticize or demean or minimize maybe what they're doing, or just even in your own mind. It's the same. You're putting the energy out there, so might as well just say it out loud. Or you feel yourself being defensive. That's another big thing. Maybe you are snapping at your children, or you are overwhelmed, so you're isolating or withdrawing. Maybe you are disappearing into your work because it's just too much to tolerate. Your kids really, really need you and love you, and it's all overwhelming, and you're going to be required to actually sift and sort through what's good and what's painful and stay with the discomfort, and so you just kind of pour yourself into work. And maybe you, lastly, want help but can't accept it. So you stay in that self-sabotaging cycle. So you know you want to change, but you just can't let anybody in to help you do it. It's too scary. And so the fear stays in control, right? The fear stays in charge. So look at how much more we got here. Okay. We're getting near the end. And I was really promising myself to try to keep this to half an hour because we're busy moms, but I love to give you so much. So I'm going to go on and see if I can flow through this last bit. So often the belief under all these patterns that I'm talking about says I don't deserve better. I don't deserve better. It says it's not safe to trust others and to let in their love and to let in their support. That I might be exposed, I might be shamed, I might be hurt, I might be betrayed, I might be abandoned, or worst of all, maybe I'm not worthy of my own trust. I can't trust myself to actually make good use of this love, support, money, whatever it is you're wanting. That this is what we're afraid ultimately of failing at. We're afraid of letting ourselves down. We're afraid that we will fail at our own attempt to give ourselves what we need. And that haunts us, and it will keep you in old pattern. As long as you believe that more than you believe that you're worthy of help and support and divinely created, then it will keep you in old pattern. So if you are unhappy but you're unable to let in more love, or build more trust in your partnership, or be patient and gentle and compassionate and forgiving with your kids, then it might mean you have rigid boundaries. Okay. On the flip side of things, you may have really permeable boundaries, and there are good reasons for that too. You had to let a lot in, maybe in order to heal someone else early on in your life, or keep your family intact, or not be noticed, whatever it was. You may feel like you're wearing a sign that says, like, use me up. I'm available all the time. And in that case, you're tired a lot. You're depleted. You feel, your life force is just sucked out of you, drained out of you randomly at different times. Maybe you were the most capable person in your family. Maybe you were really parentified. You were the oldest child, and you kind of held everything together. If you had a sick parent, or parents were incapacitated, or were using any different substances, maybe that was you. You were the capable one, and so you kept everyone else okay by sacrificing from very, very early on. And in this case, if this is you, or you took on the emotions or energy of others to kind of spare them, and that happens unconsciously too. We kind of take on parents' trauma. We take on their fear or anxiety so that they can keep functioning. Nobody knows it's happening. It's all under the radar. But we grow up and feel like crap, and we go, why do we feel like crap? Why do I feel so crappy? My life is good. What's going on? Then there's boundary work there to be done. You probably can't even imagine what healthy boundaried love looks like in that case. And so you're probably confused about what is it like to stay healthy in relationship? What is it like to love on me and stay connected to my desires, or to own my experience? What would it mean to not overgive to the point of feeling depleted? I don't even know what that means. So is this resonating for you? Tell me if this is clicking for you. In any and all of these cases, you're going to struggle with receiving love. You're going to struggle with knowing you're worthy of it, and knowing that you can have that in your relationship here and now. So your relationship, if you struggle with receiving love, your relationship is going to reflect that. If that's something in you, you're going to see it reflected from your kids and your partners, and maybe, definitely your family of origin as well. So your partner withholds love from you and affection, or he or she is unappreciative, or maybe distant, or there's a lot of conflict, and that's how you stay connected. So any and all of those things, and on. You may experience it in different ways too. The truth that I want to lay out for this talk is that we can only ever give to anyone else what we already know how to give to ourselves and receive from ourselves. We can't receive it from anyone else until we've learned to give it to ourselves, and vice versa. We can't give to our kids the energy of staying connected to love, which includes all kinds of things like forgiveness and compassion and gentleness and softness and release and all these things, unless we really know how to do that for ourselves. So it is very connected. And we may think that we're giving so generously, but really there is a price we're paying. But that earlier story I was talking about, where we're saying like, well, I have to do it this way, or if I don't do it, no one else will, or this is just the way it is, I got to accept it, or I should just settle for this. That is not true love. That is not divine love. It's not alignment with your divine self to serve. It's not even service. To take responsibility for others, to overgive, to try to help them stay happy, tend to others' happiness. That isn't service, and it isn't the highest form of love, and it's not what you're here to do. It's not what you're here to do. And that's why it feels so crappy. So I know and believe that you're not listening to me here if you believe otherwise. If you do believe that your highest path is to serve with complete selflessness. I know those people come into my group and they leave like on day 2 because what I say rubs them the wrong way so badly, and I'm okay with that. But if you are here and you realize when you give to the point of depletion, it doesn't feel right for you, that you're unhappy, you're resentful, you are, someone should pay the price for that. That's how you feel. You're angry that your kids don't listen. You know that you deserve better than that. Then that's your internal guidance system telling you this is not your highest path, and you're not owning your highest truth. There's more for you here. So If we want to have more love in our lives, and if we want to receive love, real love, presence, truth, acceptance from the people around us, then we have to learn how to connect with it inside of us and around us and feel it and give it toward ourselves. Okay, that piece is so important. So we have to learn how to stay connected to and learn, like, what does that even mean? Connected to the energy of love. What does that mean to open to being that and feeling that? And to learn what it looks like and sounds like in our lives. You know, we have to know the difference between negativity, fear, and love. Those things are outside of love. So moving beyond feeling restless and anxious, moving through anger and fear thinking, getting to the other side of, I'm just not good at this. I'm never going to be good at this. Or they're all just a bunch of poop and they can go they can go take care of themselves. They can go make their own dinner. And you know what happens when you say stuff like that? It's really hard to let them go hungry. I have done that. It's really hard. And it isn't the path of ease, and it isn't the path of our divine self. So what difference would staying open to love make in your life? I know some of you said it earlier, but just having heard this, what do you feel like would change for you if you were to learn how to stay connected to you so vitally that you knew the difference between fear and love, and you released all the old story and cleared all the old energy that was around not good enough and I don't get to have that? What would change? What would change right away? What would get easier and what would feel better? Drop it in the comments. I'll come back and read them back, but to get there, to get to the point where, I know for me, a big piece of shifting out of that kind of the rigid boundaries and just that there's not enough kind of mentality. What changed right away was I got softer with my kids. I was able to follow their lead and remember that they belong to themselves, and I'm here to support that. I'm here to grow them in coming to know who they are, in coming to realize what's true for them, and not what I am here to teach them about themselves, or how to just be quiet and go with the flow and not embarrass me, but really to be able to follow and find out more about who they are. And when I could release a lot of my own rigid boundary stuff, I was able to really see and appreciate and be with them more without feeling split or distracted or uncomfortable or restless or I should be doing a million other things. Just that quality time got so much more rich and so much more enjoyable. So let's see, more energy for living a full life, present instead of always wishing and hoping for something else. Yeah, so that was true for me too. To release the conflict. Yep, stop fighting and have a lot more fun. That's so true, Sarah. Have a lot more fun with our kids and each other. And then the kids pick it up. Yeah. They become more independent, they become more capable, they become more respectful because we're not just doing things for them. And they gain the self-esteem from all of that too. Not to mention how much more safe they feel when parents aren't arguing and fighting. So to get all of those places, to get yourself there, you really need to come to understand what's getting in the way of opening to that part of you, that larger part of you, the joy, love, compassion part of you, the true self, true essence you. Knowledge is power. It's cliche and true. Knowledge is power. And so this is where working with somebody who knows what they're doing, who knows the territory and has a proven method for teaching you how to gain the tools that are going to enable you to access your own power and to gain a level of expertise in yourself, in your own life, so that you can shape your intentions. You can be masterful in how you align with your the thoughts and emotions that are match for what you want to be living, for your heart's desires and for your intention. So that's where that work can be deeply transformational, and sort of tiptoeing around and trying this and that without any clear, direct, intentional action can feel so frustrating. And I know, because I've spoken to a lot of you who've tried a lot of different things, lots of different little things, and here and there, exercise, and maybe some therapy, sort of hit and miss, or some kind of traditional therapies in terms of you're trying to help your nervous system and physical health, and all of it might help a little bit, but it's like nothing really creates the momentum and the flow to get deep enough to really change and shift those underlying systems, which is what we need if we want to see the lasting change. So when we see clearly what old stories and beliefs we've been living in that are actually in contradiction to what we want, this is what makes us feel so bad. It's where anxiety is really a wake-up call. We're living in contradiction to what we actually want, then, to the life we're trying so hard to create. Consciously, we're trying so hard, but we keep sabotaging ourselves. That's when the light comes on. When we can see clearly what the old stories and beliefs are, that's when the light turns on. And when the light turns on, then we can then take real steps to living a life that is full of deeper meaning and purpose and fulfillment. So everywhere you look, you can find something that feels really, really satisfying. And anything that's a challenge is actually a lesson. It's a gift because there's learning in it. And there's no limit. There's really no limit. You can have exactly what you want, and you know how to get there. It may take a little time, but you know exactly what to do to get there. So we can all have that. We can have that kind of ease in our relationships. We can have flow. We can have joy. We can own our gifts and purpose. We can make money from doing that. We can stop arguing with our spouses and partners, and we can step fully into naming what's true for us and setting boundaries without it then dissolving into a giant mess. So all of this and more is totally possible for you when you step into a real unapologetic love connection with you. That's who you really are. It's the truth of your divine self, and it's totally trying to get your attention, tapping on you and saying it's time to wake up. And that's what I'm here to say too. So if you're at a point in your life where or in your relationships where you really don't want to push and struggle anymore, then reach out to me. Just go ahead and book a call with me. You can get on my calendar. There is no fee for the call. I'll drop the link below. But let me know what questions you have, and I can answer those now.